So tell me, what are you hearing in New Hampshire? What are you hearing from constituents as they are starting to get the notices, either from the ACA or private employers, about what insurance premiums look like for them?
Look, we are facing record high costs already for healthcare in New Hampshire. Today in my state, more than 70% of people skip out on critical healthcare, whether it's prescription drugs or doctor's visits, because the costs are just too high already. And HR 1, this big brutal budget, we heard from so many of our colleagues who on the Republican side, we tried to persuade that this bill was going to be devastating and catastrophic. They said, no, the effects won't happen for a while. We've already seen 2 community health centers close in our state, and it's really just a matter of math. When you make the biggest cuts to healthcare in American history, the effects are swift, and they've been exactly what providers on the front lines of this work have told us: catastrophic and devastating. We've seen premiums in New Hampshire, they've gone up, premiums and deductibles, both record high increases already. And families are bracing for another, up to 100% increase in the cost of their care. And it's hurting our small businesses, it's hurting family farmers. It's a crisis that has intensified as a direct result of the choices that Republicans here in Congress have made.
So the impacts of this are not just being felt in Democratic parts of the country. This is, like you said, being first and foremost hitting rural communities where we're seeing the Medicaid cuts close local clinics, and half of our family farmers are on the ACA. Mm-hmm. That is where they get their health coverage. So it's such a pile-on for people who are already working hard to keep their family budgets together.
It really is. I mean, we're talking about people who are undergoing cancer treatment, and they don't know if they're going to be able to continue their course of care because of the costs. People are already strapped with medical debt who just are in impossible situations, the most painful choices that a government could ever force a person to make, and that is what Republicans in Congress have done.
We were talking a little earlier about sort of the latest horror that they are bestowing on the American people. And that's not only the cuts they've already made to the SNAP program, food stamp program, which were historic in nature, over $200 billion from hungry kids and seniors. But now they've come up with something new in this shutdown, where it seems like their point is additional cruelty. Tell us a little bit about what we heard from Mike Johnson this week.
Yeah, look, it's to me, it's a triple whammy. What we see is a clear decision on the part of this administration not to use the authorities it has and the resources it has to fund SNAP, this absolutely mission-critical lifeline for tens of thousands of families across my state, millions across the country. This is hit number one, and it is a choice that they are making on on what they want to fund and who they want to help and who they don't want to help. But it's just on the heels of the biggest cuts to SNAP in American history.
Yeah.
On top of this, as I talked to the food bank in New Hampshire, they are doing the Lord's work. I mean, this is an extraordinary team of people. They've been there for decades. Food costs have never been higher as a direct result of the president's lawless tariffs. And it's impacting the work of the food bank that is really trying around the clock to deliver food to communities that are the hardest hit in our state. And a lot of these communities are communities with federal public servants who aren't getting paid at the same time that our colleagues here in Congress who are getting paid are not showing up at work. And it's an outrage.
Yeah, it is an outrage. They have $5 billion to go towards food for hungry kids and people. And they're saying, no, we're not going to spend it. We've really moved from a let them eat cake to a let them eat our legal analysis. And it is so outrageous for hardworking Americans who are just trying to provide for their families.
These are the choices that they're making, and they are cruel choices, and they're often really just profoundly corrupt choices.
Yeah.
And this is the challenge of the moment. But we're here nonetheless, and we won't stop trying.